Actually, it's just a normal course of business. I started a company 15 years ago, Forest Sound Products, and we're an acoustical contracting company and product development company, and happened to have a customer in San Diego I'd worked with in years past, and now was facilities director at Alvarado Hospital, call and say they had a very noisy emergency department and was there anything I could do. I said, well, certainly, this is what we do. And showed up, and they had a 10-bed, kind of an old-fashioned, low-ceiling, hard surface area with a lot of noise bouncing off the walls. And the typical solution for that is to put panels that absorb that noise energy and reduce the bouncing off the walls part, and it lowers overall noise and actually increases speech intelligibility, so you can understand each other a lot better. Said we could do that in 4 days with a couple of guys. We'd have to shut the place down, and they said, well, we can't do that because we bring in almost 60% of our hospital's revenue through the ED directly, so it runs 24/7, 365. So I thought about that a little bit, and industrially we do a lot of baffling where we put in ceiling baffles to absorb noise. We also do it in high school gymnasiums, over swimming pools, that kind of thing, because you have echo, and you can reduce that significantly with baffles. So I looked at the curtains, the privacy curtains, and I said, boy, that could be a gigantic baffle if we did it right. And I asked him if we could put together a prototype, and we did, and it worked very well. In fact, the prototype 2 bays that we installed became very popular with repeat patients. They wanted to go to the quiet bay when they came in, which was kind of cool. So subsequently, because of that success, they decided to outfit the entire ED, which they did, and it ended up being a very successful installation. Well, we had a company called Arcadis out of San Diego, environmental firm that had an acoustical division, and they provided us an acoustical scientist to come in with very sensitive instruments and test before and after the installation of the hush curtain in the ED. And they came up with a 75% reduction in reverberation in that room, and also at peak census at the highest noise levels, it reduces the overall noise level in the room by 35% or so, which is about 5 to 7 decibels. That's a big deal, and that's why it ended up being successful. And that's when you show that curve, which you can see on the website, that's exactly why it works. Yeah, I think the biggest thing with the people that had the complaints in the first place, and that's the ED director and his staff. They're having a hard time communicating directly with the nurse staff, with very critical communication. Also, the communication with the patients was difficult at peak census. They couldn't hear what they were saying when they're in stress, and the installation of the hush kind of repaired all of that. In addition, they're having a hard time just dictating post-treatment in that environment because it was so noisy. So their speech intelligibility increased significantly. They could have a conversation with a nurse back and forth normally, and then with the patients inside the cubicles, they could carry on an important conversation with them, be better understood, and also have a bit of confidentiality between the cubicles. Pretty cool. That actually is one of their bigger deals that they talked about too, and so anecdotally they said, gosh, this is great for us for HIPAA, because HIPAA, actually one of the big things is speech confidentiality, and indeed that kind of led to us achieving a HIPAA certification just last year.